Now, for many people, this is, like I say, a skeptic mind won't understand it, and perhaps I'm not the right person for you to be listening to. Or if you continue listening, perhaps it will help you, because hundreds of children are now not in child labour and living in poverty, and nearly 70 children are now with guardianship and a family due to the fact I followed numerical sequences and synchronicities to manifest everything here, and also 55 rescue dogs as well. 56 it is now.
Weapons always close to end, for he has seen too much hatred. Only weapon that he chooses is love, universal call now for justice.
Hi guys, I want to share a little video about numerical synchronicities and numbers guiding our lives as a fabric of consciousness. And I want to share with you a recent story of how I do this. Two recent stories of how I use these numbers and how people around me know that I use these numbers. Now, what I won't do is share with you what my number sequences mean, because that means that people are in the world like this, unfortunately, could use that. So I will, in the video, tell you an idea, a framework of how this works with me. This language that God uses to direct me and to warn me, or to encourage me in a certain direction. And there's many a skeptic out there who won't understand what I've got to say, but it's difficult for I to communicate with skeptics because they just don't look. Millions of people are not having a collective psychosis of some sort. Millions of people use this and experience this and use it in their life to guide them and to manifest what they need to. And it is from source, from consciousness, from the fabric of your reality. Your reality is made up of numbers and vibrations and shapes. Even if I move my arm, an unbelievable mathematical calculation's just gone on inside your head. It's just the concept of the numbers doesn't exist within the framework of nature, it exists within our explanation of nature. But all around us, because of this, we have numerology and we have these numerical sequences. Now, before I was coming back here, I have a problem in my mouth in as I have an extra tooth. And this extra tooth has caused a little bit of trouble for its neighbours, shall we say. And one of those teeth, I know there's a problem with that tooth. It doesn't hurt me, but I know there's a problem now. So we went to see a dentist, and it was 4 days before I was due to fly. He said, come back tomorrow and I'll do some work. And he wanted to do a filling and drill my tooth. And I prayed a lot and I said to God, I'm very uncomfortable here, because if he upsets anything in my mouth and the pain starts and I get toothache, which is very debilitating, most people have had a toothache at some point, and I get to Tanzania, if I want to save that tooth, I'll have to fly back to the west or cross the border to Kenya, to Nairobi, where I can get proper dental care. I can't afford to do that, is the first problem. The next thing is I would then, to end the toothache, would need to have it seen to in Tanzania, which means they would pull it out. And I know from what the dentists have said, if they pull it out, the neighbouring teeth will likely follow suit because of the way they're together. And I don't want 3 teeth missing from my mouth at the age of 32. So I prayed a lot and I said to God, I'm really unsure about what to do here. And aside from the awkward conversation Fritzy and I had with the dentist telling me to use high fluoride toothpaste, of which I refused point blank, of course. He said it will help in that area, and I said I don't use fluoridated toothpaste at all. So, yeah, this is an awkward thing, obviously. And I prayed, and I said, okay, God, give me a sign. You always know what's best, and you can foresee what I cannot. And when we got to the dentist the next day, we woke up early to go to the dentist, and then I'd spend the afternoon with my nephew. And outside of the dentist, going in for the appointment, a car pulled up in front of me with a number plate with 3 digits three of the same digit, so imagine it's 222 or 444 or 555, pulls up in front of me, and this number always means no. Always means no to me. So I said to Fritzy, the universe has spoken, I shan't be doing this. And we went in and I told him my concerns, and he said it's very true that I could create aggravation and you might have pain when you leave here. So I said, well, I'm not doing it, that's fine. But I probably would have went through with it if I never got the sign. And that was a sign, and to the skeptic it's not a sign, but my life is built on synchronicity. I've manifested at the behest and the request of God, and purely by tuning into his wants for my life, I've manifested Share Tanzania these last 3.5 years. Pretty much from nothing, from a laptop and an intention, all of this is manifest. And I've used synchronicity and numerical guidance in that way to get to where I am. And it's simply a language of prayer and a language of God. As Carl Jung said, synchronicity an ever-present reality for those with eyes to see it. Now, I've done this before as well. When we were recently we bought a car, Toyota Noah. And this was donated to us, the money for it, by a very wonderful man who wishes to remain anonymous. But he saw that we had issues with transport. Naturally, with so many kids and no people carrier, we had a lot of issues. Whilst we were looking for that car, again, I don't want to share the numbers. I don't want to say these numbers mean yes, these numbers mean no to myself. But what I will say is that I always keep the numbers that I use, the important ones, the yeses and the nos, and a lesson has been learned, etc. My dog just came running down, giving me a fright. Oh, sorry. And a lesson has been learned below 5, because that way I can receive emails and text messages at certain times which will let me know that something is right or something is wrong. You know, if your no is 777, you minimize the way by which you can be spoken to by the universe. And this is why they are below 5 for my important ones, my yeses, my nos, so on and so forth. So this 3-digit number that means no to myself, and I have a 3-digit number which means yes to myself as well, and I have others that mean I've learned a life lesson. I have others that mean a life-changing thought process or thought is going on, and I'll go through it shortly and explain how I do that. We jumped in one car, a small minibus. It was a Toyota Hiace, actually, if you know what one of those is, and I felt immediately, we were supposed to buy this car, and I felt immediately very uncomfortable. And I said to Fritzy, something is wrong with this car and I can't see what it is. And I said, let me take it to my friend who's a mechanic here. And when I took it there, lots of conversation went on, and everyone was a bit confused with my behaviour, because I'd said I'd buy it and then at the last second said I can't. Feelings, I got a feeling. Whilst I was there, I said to the mechanic, let's take it for a little drive. And it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and when we got in the car, the clock was wrong on the dashboard, and it was a big clock, like a touchscreen. And as soon as we turned the key and switched it on, my no number was sitting in huge numbers on the dashboard. And I looked at it and I laughed, and Fritzy and Emmanuel both know the number that I have for no. And they saw it as well, and we all laughed, and I said, well, I can't buy it because that is my sign. This is not what you should be getting. This is not the one, whatever the problem was. And thus we followed it, and we said, we're not getting this one. Now, for many people, this is, like I say, a skeptic mind won't understand it, and perhaps I'm not the right person for you to be listening to. Or if you continue listening, perhaps it'll help you, because hundreds of children are now not in child labour and living in poverty, and nearly 70 children are now with guardianship and a family due to the fact I followed numerical sequences and synchronicities to manifest everything here, and also 55 rescue dogs as well. 56 it is now. So I use numerology, but these are number sequences from the fabric of reality. It's reality speaking back to you. No different to the ancient healers of old. Native American healers used to say that they never knew which plants to mix, but they would see a light on the correct plant when they were out in nature for the illness that they were seeking to cure or they're seeking to treat. So this is something that's gone on for thousands of years in humanity, and it's simply attuning to a more subtle language. And I've said this before, that if tadpoles or frogs spawn inside an egg from a South American breed of tree frog, can sense danger when they are a simple tiny organism this big, they sense danger and can separate and escape. That sense is coming from vibration. It's coming from an intuitive space. It's coming from an energetic space. And they are finely tuned to it, and humans can be too, if we just get our carnal mind out of the way. If we just silence the lion, which is the lion that Samson fights, which is the noisy ego. You know, you can't give birth to the Christ child at the inn. There's no space at the inn because the inn's so busy and noisy. How could you possibly give birth to something of pure consciousness? So you must give birth to it in a silent place among the animal nature, in the stable. So when we attune to this different language, which millions of people, I'm not alone, are experiencing and going through and learning, and many people contact me and say, what does this number mean? What does this number mean? And I guess this video is a little bit for you guys, because you need to learn that language yourselves, and it's an intuitive language. You'll see synchronicities starting to come up in your lives, and as they do, you need to start developing with them. You need to start growing with them. And what I suggest you do is, as I say, numbers below 5. So for instance, you might say 555 is your number that means no, don't do that, stop, that's not good. And you might have 444 will mean yes, go ahead and do that. Or you might have 333 means yes, go ahead and do that. And I've seen people get it overcomplicated and they say, oh, I have this number, this. And I've seen these books on, they call it angel numbers, where they have numbers 1 to 999. And this is too complex and complicated. You should keep it simple. Have a language with consciousness of yes, no. Lessons I've learned, a number for completion, and a number for go that way, or a number for a life-changing thought. These are the categories I use. Very simple. But the yeses and the nos are enough for me, predominantly. Because if I'm about to make a mistake, guaranteed, if I pray into it, something will happen. I'll get an email at whatever it is with my triple-digit no number in it, or the triple-digit yes number to say, no, keep going, this is good. Or I'll pull up. I've pulled up at places before where I'm supposed to go in and do some work. And as I do, randomly a motorbike pulls in front of me with a triple-digit number plate, which is my no number. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm not going in. Or I've gone to the dentist and my no number appears and I say, oh, God's answered me. I couldn't hear because maybe things were a bit busy for me. You know, when I was traveling in England for my wedding, things were very busy, so I need those number sequences. Sometimes here it's a bit busy, I need those number sequences. If it's not too busy, I can just go within and I can commune with God and reach into the field and he can tell me himself what needs to go on through my intuition. But when it's too busy and the chat is going on, and sometimes you can't get silent, if everyone around you is stopping you from getting silent, then the numerical sequences, they help. But you also have to be constantly present-minded or you'll miss it. If you pull up at a place, turn your car key off, hop out the car and walk straight in, then you'll miss a sign. If you pull up and you put all of your attention into pulling up, observing your surroundings, turning the key to switch off the ignition, right now you're turning the key, look again, look around you, what's around you. You're present, you're here. If you pull up and you're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner tomorrow, forget about it. God will, I sound like a a mafia, forget about it, like a mafioso. Forget about it, because you're not going to be able to see even the signs that God has in store for your life, because you're not here and now, and here and now is all you have. This is where you'll function at your very best. This is where a human being is the most efficient and at the most effective, is when they are completely present here in this moment. If you pull up somewhere and a number sequence is there to warn you, but as I say, you're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner or worrying about what that person said to you this morning, then you're not going to see it, because you're just going to go in and you don't even observe what's around you. And this pains me. I find it very difficult when I spend time with people who don't observe the surroundings around them. But we almost learn at our own pace. But many people, most people do that. Many people are not present-minded. So take some numbers and have a yes number, be it whatever, 111 or 222 or 333, 444, 555. Have a completion number, have a I've learned a lesson number, have a life-changing thought, have a go in this direction number. You set them out yourself, you write them down what they are. And you let the consciousness around you, which is ever more intelligent and wise than we will ever be, see it and work with you on it. So instead of getting random number sequences, because sometimes people are getting them and it's consciousness clicking its fingers at you saying, hey, this way, look at me, take note of this, you can learn this language. But if you don't learn it, then how can it use it with you? Ultimately, it's just an external expression of an intuitive internal going on. An intuitive internal language that can be read in the subtleties, in the depths of meditation and in the subtleties of your being and vibration. But it expresses itself externally. But if you're not present, if you're not here, if you're not now, then it won't work for you. And most skeptics are not here, they're not now. They've got their head in a book, they've got this in this, they've got this in their intellect, they've got this in the questions and this and that. And ultimately it's kind of difficult to get through to people like that, because they can't do basic logic, and they think somehow that millions of people all over the planet have gotten together and concocted this idea. It's not an idea, it's a human function. It's a human function. If you can just wrestle that lion, which is your ego and the chatter of your mind, out of the way, so as you can commune and walk in a union with Spirit and with God and with His guidance. So, much love.